My finger hovered over the button labeled Revelation Protocol. I couldn't breathe. The red glow from the terminal screen made everything look like blood, and my father's voice from the video recording still echoed in my skull. Then Marcus Thorne's words crackled through the bunker speakers, each syllable like a knife. "They're coming for you, Alyssa. We've already razed your house to the ground. You have 60 seconds before we breach this bunker. Nowhere left to run." A metallic bang echoed from above. They were cutting through the door. My hand trembled so violently I could barely hold it steady. Cold sweat dripped down my spine. This was it. Once I pressed this button, there was no going back. No hiding. No normal life. Everyone would know what I was. Every government, every agency, every monster, like Marcus Thorne, would hunt me until the day I died. Gabriel grabbed my shoulder, his grip crushing. His face was ghost-white blood streaming from the gash above his eye. "Do it now, Alyssa. We're out of time." Another bang. Closer. I could hear boots on metal stairs, shouting. 20 seconds, maybe less. My whole body shook. I thought about my father dying alone in that alley, about my co-workers blown apart to frame me, about Sophie who would become a target the second I pressed this button. Terror clawed at my throat. I wanted to run, to hide, to wake up and discover this was all a nightmare. The bunker door groaned, metal screeching against metal. I looked at my reflection in the screen, saw my father's eyes staring back at me, heard his voice. "You're stronger than you know, Alyssa. Don't let them win." The door exploded inward. Flashbang detonations, tactical team flooding in. Gabriel opened fire. 3 seconds left. I slammed my palm down on the button. If you're listening to this story and you want to know how I went from being a regular financial analyst to becoming the most wanted woman in America, from thinking my biggest problem was a quarterly report deadline to discovering I was a living biological weapon that powerful people would kill to control, then you need to hear what happened next. But before we get there, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like button if you're already hooked. Subscribe to this channel because this story is going to take you places you never imagined. And drop a comment telling me what you would have done in my situation. Would you have pressed that button? Would you have trusted a stranger who showed up at your door claiming your entire life was a lie? Let me know, because I'm going to take you back to where it all began. Back to that morning when everything I thought I knew shattered into 1,000 pieces. It was 5:02 in the morning when the pounding started. I remember because I'd been staring at my ceiling for the past hour, unable to sleep, my mind churning through the presentation I was supposed to give at work that day. When the banging on my door began, my first emotion wasn't fear. It was irritation. Who the hell pounds on someone's door at 5 in the morning in downtown Chicago? I threw off my covers, grabbed the robe from my chair, and stomped toward the door, ready to give whoever it was a piece of my mind. Through the peephole, I could see my neighbor Gabriel standing there, but he didn't look like the quiet, mysterious man who usually just nodded at me in the hallway. His face was pale, almost gray in the dim light of the corridor. He had a nasty scratch across his left cheek, and his clothes looked like he'd been rolling around in an alley. His eyes were bloodshot, rimmed with dark circles that spoke of sleepless nights. I opened the door a crack, the chain still latched. "What the hell? Gabriel, do you know what time it is?" His voice came out in a harsh whisper. "Don't go to work today, Alyssa. Don't go anywhere. They're coming for you, for what you carry inside." I stared at him, my irritation morphing into confusion mixed with a hint of concern. Was he on drugs? Having some kind of breakdown? "Gabriel, I don't know what you're talking about, but I have a meeting at 9 and I'm not missing it because my neighbor is having a crisis. Go home. Sleep it off." I started to close the door, but his hand shot out, catching it before I could shut it completely. His fingers gripped the edge with surprising strength. "Do you want to die? Listen to me." His intensity scared me. I'd lived next to this man for almost a year, and I'd never seen him display any emotion stronger than mild interest. "Gabriel, you need to leave or I'm calling the police." He didn't move. Instead, he grabbed my arm through the gap in the door, his grip rough, desperate. "You don't understand. Your father made me promise to protect you. Everything you think you know about him, about yourself, it's all a lie, and they're coming right now." My father. The mention of my dad, who had died 2 years ago, in what the police had called a random mugging, made me freeze. What did Gabriel know about my father they'd never even met? My dad had passed away before I moved into this building. What are you talking about? My voice came out smaller than I intended. Let me in, please. I can prove it to you, but we don't have much time. Against every instinct that told me this was insane, I unlatched the chain. Maybe it was the raw desperation in his voice. Maybe it was the way he'd mentioned my father. Or maybe deep down, some part of me had always known that something about my life didn't quite add up. My father's death had never sat right with me. A random mugging in a quiet neighborhood, the muggers never caught his wallet left behind. It had always felt wrong. Gabriel practically fell into my apartment, immediately moving to the windows and yanking the curtains shut. He checked the locks on my door, tested the deadbolt, then moved to peer through a gap in the curtains. See that black sedan? 2 streets over. There's someone sitting in it. They've been watching you for over a week. I moved to the window, my heart starting to pound now. I could barely make out the vehicle he was talking about, but yes, there was definitely a car parked in an odd spot, and I could see the silhouette of someone inside. That doesn't mean anything. Maybe they're waiting for someone. At 5 in the morning, Gabriel's voice was flat. They're waiting for you to leave for work. That's when they'll take you. Unless I can convince you to trust me and stay here. I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly cold, despite the summer heat that Chicago was suffering through. This is insane. You sound completely paranoid. I need you to leave so I can get ready for work. Gabriel pulled something from his jacket, an envelope yellowed with age and a key card. Your father gave me these before he died. He told me that if anything happened to him, I had to find you, protect you, and give you these when the time came. That time is now Alyssa. My hands shook as I took the envelope. The handwriting on the front was unmistakably my father's. It simply read, "For Alyssa when she needs the truth." My throat tightened. Dad's handwriting. I'd know it anywhere. How did you know my father? I whispered. Robert Vance was more than an accountant, Alyssa. He was a brilliant biological scientist forced to work for a classified program called Project Gaia. When he realized what they were doing, what they wanted to do to you, he reached out to me. I was with the agency then. We had mutual contacts. He asked me to keep an eye on you after he was gone. Said you'd need protection when they finally came for you. This is crazy. My dad was an accountant. He did taxes. He helped small businesses with their books. I felt like the walls of my apartment were closing in. This couldn't be real. Gabriel had to be delusional. Then explain this. Gabriel thrust his phone at me. On the screen was a news article from a website I didn't recognize. The headline made my blood run cold. Terrorist attack at Henning and Cole Investments, multiple casualties, primary suspect identified as employee. Below it was my employee ID photo. No! The word came out as barely a breath. That's not possible. I'm here. I haven't been to work. This is photoshopped or something. It's all over the news, Alyssa. They're saying you planted a bomb, that you're on the run. The police are on their way here right now. They've been tipped off that you're hiding at home. I felt dizzy. My workplace. The people I worked with every day. Sarah from accounting who brought in homemade cookies. Jason in IT, who always helped me when my computer acted up. Marcus in management who'd just gotten engaged. They were saying I killed them. I need to call them. I need to explain. I'm innocent. I'll turn myself in and they'll see it's all a mistake. Gabriel grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at him. If you do that, you'll be dead within 24 hours. They'll make sure of it. Your father died trying to protect you from these people. Don't let his sacrifice be for nothing. My phone rang, the shrill sound making both of us jump. Unknown number flashed on the screen. Gabriel snatched it from my hand before I could react and answered it on speaker. Miss Alyssa Vance. The voice was male, clipped official. This is Detective Miller with Chicago PD. Where are you right now? I need you to tell me your current location. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Gabriel's hand tightened on my shoulder in warning. Miss Vance, are you aware that Henning and Cole Investments was attacked approximately 3 hours ago? Multiple fatalities. We have security footage showing you leaving the building in a suspicious manner shortly before the explosion. We also have witnesses who stated you were acting strangely in the days leading up to this incident. I wasn't there. The words finally burst out of me. I've been home all night. This is insane. Who is this? Detective Miller's voice sharpened. Who am I speaking to? Gabriel took over, his voice calm but commanding. She's not involved. Someone is setting her up. Sir, identify yourself immediately. Are you holding Miss Vance against her will? She's safe with me. And you need to look deeper into this case, Detective. She's being framed. We have units en route to her address right now. I strongly advise you not to flee. That will only make things worse. We'll be there in less than 10 minutes. Stay where you are. The call ended. Gabriel and I stared at each other. The silence stretched between us, heavy with implications. My entire life had just been upended in the span of 15 minutes. Everything I thought I knew was crumbling. You did this, I said, my voice hardening. You're part of this. You set me up. Gabriel's expression didn't change. If I wanted to hurt you, Alyssa, you'd already be dead. Your father trusted me with your life. I'm asking you to do the same. Why should I trust you? You show up with some crazy story about my father being a scientist instead of an accountant, about me being some kind of target, and suddenly my workplace is blown up and I'm being framed for murder. How convenient for you. Read the letter. Gabriel pointed at the envelope still clutched in my hand. Then decide. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely tear open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper covered in my father's familiar handwriting. As I read, tears started streaming down my face. My dearest Alyssa, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and the wolves have finally come for you. I'm so sorry, my darling girl. Sorry for the lies, sorry for the secrets, sorry for the burden I've placed on you without your knowledge or consent. But I want you to know that everything I did out of love. You are not what they say you are. You are not an experiment, not a weapon, not a tool to be used. You are my daughter, and you are a miracle of nature itself. I discovered something in your DNA when you were born, something unprecedented, something beautiful. A natural mutation that makes you unique, that gives you capabilities beyond normal human parameters. I called it a biomark, a signature of evolutionary potential. When my employers at Project Gaia learned of your existence, they wanted to study you, replicate you, turn you into something controllable. I refused. I stole the research, destroyed the samples, and did everything I could to hide the truth about you. They killed me for it, Alyssa. I know they did, even if they made it look like a random act of violence. Gabriel Thorne was a friend when I had no one else to trust. He's former intelligence, and he knows how these people operate. Trust him. He will keep you safe. There's a bunker coordinates on the key card. Everything you need to know is there. I've set up protocols to help you to give you a fighting chance. But Alyssa, my precious girl, remember this. You are stronger than you know. You always have been. Don't let them make you feel weak. Don't let them control you. And whatever you do, don't let them win. I love you beyond measure. Always have, always will. Your father, Robert Vance. I couldn't breathe. The letter fell from my hands, fluttering to the floor like a wounded bird. My father, my brilliant, gentle father, who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd stayed up with me during thunderstorms because I was scared, who'd been so proud when I got my job at Henning and Cole. He'd been living a double life, and I'd never suspected a thing. The sound of sirens cut through the early morning quiet. Gabriel moved to the window again. They're here, both the police and the others. We have maybe 2 minutes before they breach this building. I stood frozen, my mind reeling. Run with a stranger based on a letter from my dead father, or stay and try to explain to the police that I was innocent despite all evidence pointing to my guilt. Either choice felt like stepping off a cliff. Alyssa, Gabriel's voice cut through my paralysis. I know you're scared. I know this is overwhelming, but your father made me swear I'd protect you, and that's what I'm going to do. You can either come with me now, or you can wait here and hope the police believe you. But I can tell you from experience, once you're in custody, the people who framed you will have unlimited access to you. You won't survive the first night in jail. I thought about my father's letter, about the fear I could read between every line, about how he'd known he was going to die and had still done everything he could to protect me. If he'd trusted Gabriel, if he'd believed this man was the key to my survival, then maybe I needed to trust that judgment. Okay. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Okay, let's go. Gabriel was already moving. He pulled a baseball cap from his jacket and shoved it onto my head, tucking my long hair up underneath it. Grab your laptop and your phone. Nothing else. We need to move now. I snatched my laptop from the coffee table and my phone charger from the counter. The sirens were getting louder. I could hear shouting from the street below, the squeal of tires' car doors slamming. Gabriel led me to my kitchen to the window that faced the back alley. He jimmied it open with practiced ease. "Fire escape?" I asked stupidly. "Too obvious. We're going through the neighbor's apartment and out the back way." He climbed through first, then helped pull me after him. We landed in the small backyard garden of the apartment behind mine. Gabriel didn't hesitate grabbing my hand and pulling me toward the back fence. We scrambled over it just as I heard the crash of my front door being kicked in. I waited for shouts for someone to yell that we were escaping, but Gabriel kept us moving, darting between buildings through narrow alleys I didn't even know existed in my neighborhood. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. Behind us, I could hear more commotion, more sirens, the chaos of the raid on my apartment. We emerged onto a different street where a dark SUV was parked. Gabriel unlocked it with a key fob and practically shoved me into the passenger seat. "Get down. Stay down until I say otherwise." I crouched in the footwell as he started the engine and pulled smoothly away from the curb. My mind was racing faster than the car. This was real. This was actually happening. 20 minutes ago, I'd been in my bed, annoyed about an early meeting. Now I was a fugitive fleeing from both the police and mysterious forces that apparently wanted me for my DNA. We drove in silence for what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes. When Gabriel finally told me I could sit up, we were on the highway heading out of the city. The sun was starting to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it felt like watching the dawn of my last day of freedom. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. "Somewhere safe. Somewhere we can figure out our next move." Gabriel's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, constantly checking for tails. "Did you bring the letter and the key card?" I patted my robe pocket. They were there, along with my phone. "Yes." "Gabriel, what's on this key card? What did my father mean about a bunker?" "Your father was paranoid, but he had good reason to be. He spent the last 5 years of his life preparing for this day. He knew they'd come for you eventually. The key card will get us into a secure location where he stored information, resources, and evidence. Everything we need to fight back." "Fight back." "I'm a financial analyst, Gabriel. I don't fight. I make spreadsheets and attend budget meetings. How am I supposed to fight against people powerful enough to fake a terrorist attack and frame me for it?" Gabriel's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "You're going to learn, Alyssa. Because the alternative is death or worse. They don't just want to kill you. They want to study you. Turn you into a weapon. Your father wouldn't let that happen, and neither will I." I leaned my head against the cool window glass and closed my eyes. 24 hours ago, my biggest concern had been whether I'd get approval for the new client acquisition budget. Now I was running for my life from shadowy government agencies and facing the reality that I apparently had some kind of genetic abnormality that made me valuable enough to kill for. The absurdity of it would have been funny if it weren't so terrifying. My phone buzzed, a text message from a number I didn't recognize. Despite Gabriel's warning look, I opened it. The message was short and chilling. "We know where you are. We know who you're with. Turn yourself in and we'll make it quick. Run and we'll make you suffer before we take what we need from your corpse." I showed the message to Gabriel. His jaw clenched, but he didn't look surprised. "They're tracking your phone. Give it to me." I handed it over and watched as he powered it down and removed the battery, tossing both pieces into the back seat. "We'll get you a new one, a clean one. For now, radio silence." The highway stretched out before us, empty and gray in the early morning light. I felt untethered, like I was floating away from everything I'd ever known. My job was gone probably forever. My apartment was a crime scene. My coworkers thought I was a terrorist. And my father, the man I'd thought I knew better than anyone, had been living a lie for my entire life. "Tell me about him." The words came out before I could stop them. "Tell me about my father." The real him, not the accountant I thought I knew. Gabriel was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than I'd heard it. Robert Vance was one of the smartest men I ever met. He had degrees in molecular biology, genetics, and biochemistry. He was recruited right out of graduate school by a black budget program that was researching human enhancement. Project Gaia, they called it. The goal was to create soldiers with enhanced capabilities, stronger, faster, more resistant to injury and disease. Your father was brilliant at his job, Too brilliant. He started making breakthroughs that terrified him. Like what? Like the fact that what they were trying to create artificially already existed naturally in rare individuals. Genetic mutations that gave people extraordinary abilities. Your father discovered that his own daughter was one of those individuals. When you were born, he ran tests, secret tests. What he found shocked him. You weren't just a random mutation, Alyssa. You were something unprecedented, a perfect storm of genetic factors that made you potentially the most evolutionarily advanced human being on the planet. I stared at him. That's impossible. I'm completely normal. I get colds. I stub my toes. I'm not some superhero. The abilities are latent. They need stress trauma, the right conditions to manifest. Your father spent years making sure you never encountered those conditions. He wanted you to have a normal life, but he also knew that one day Project Gaia would find out about you. When they did, he made the hardest choice of his life. He destroyed all his research, faked his own death to protect you, and set up everything you'd need to survive what was coming. He didn't fake his death. The words came out harsh. He's dead. I went to his funeral. I buried him. Gabriel's expression was grim. I'm not saying he's alive, Alyssa. I'm saying he chose the manner of his death. He knew they were closing in. He knew they'd kill him and then come for you. So he took control of the situation. He destroyed the research, set up Dead Man's switches to release information if anything happened to him, and reached out to me for help protecting you. Then he went to meet with Marcus Thorne one last time. Marcus Thorne. The name sent a chill down my spine. Who is he? Director of Crimson Nexus, the private military contractor that took over Project Gaia when it went dark. He's brilliant, ruthless, and completely amoral. Your father went to confront him to try to negotiate your safety. It didn't work. They killed him and made it look like a mugging. Then they started watching you, waiting for the right moment to grab you. Why wait 2 years? Why not just take me after my father died? Because they didn't have all the data. Your father destroyed most of his research, but they knew enough to know you were special. They've been studying you from a distance, trying to figure out what makes you unique. They finally decided they had waited long enough. That's why they staged the attack at your workplace. They needed you desperate, on the run, vulnerable. They wanted you to feel like you had nowhere else to turn, so that when they offered you a deal, you'd take it. What kind of deal? Work with them voluntarily, and they'll clear your name. Refuse, and they'll kill you and dissect your corpse to get what they need. Gabriel's voice was flat matter of fact. They don't care which option you choose. Either way, they get access to your genetic material. I felt sick. My stomach churned, and for a moment I thought I might actually throw up right there in Gabriel's SUV. This couldn't be my life. This couldn't be happening to me. I was Alyssa Vance, boring financial analyst, whose idea of excitement was trying a new coffee shop. I wasn't cut out for genetic conspiracies and covert operations. Gabriel must have sensed my spiral because he reached over and squeezed my shoulder briefly. I know this is a lot. I know you're overwhelmed. But you're stronger than you think, Alyssa. Your father knew that. He believed in you. And I'm starting to see why. We drove for another hour before Gabriel finally turned off onto a series of increasingly rural roads. The city had long since given way to farmland and forest. The sun was fully up now, bright and cheerful, completely at odds with the nightmare I was living. Finally, Gabriel pulled onto an overgrown dirt road that looked like it hadn't been used in years. Branches scraped against the SUV as we pushed deeper into the woods. The bunker, when we finally reached it, was invisible until we were almost on top of it. Just a concrete slab in a small clearing covered in moss and leaves. Gabriel parked the SUV under some trees and gestured for me to follow him. He used the key card I'd given him, swiping it across a barely visible reader beside what looked like a natural rock formation. There was a soft beep, and then a section of the concrete began to rise, revealing metal stairs descending into darkness. Your father really went all out, I muttered, staring down into the gloom. Gabriel pulled a flashlight from his jacket. He had 20 years to prepare. Come on, we don't want to leave the entrance open any longer than necessary. The stairs led down about 20 feet into a surprisingly spacious underground room. When Gabriel hit a switch, fluorescent lights flickered to life, revealing what looked like a combination of a studio apartment and a high-tech command center. There was a small kitchenette in one corner, a cot with military-issue blankets, a bathroom behind a door, and then, the main feature, a massive bank of computer screens and equipment taking up an entire wall. "Welcome to your father's insurance policy," Gabriel said quietly. I moved toward the computers almost in a daze. The screens were dark, but I could see keyboards, monitors, what looked like servers, and backup drives. On a desk beside the main terminal sat a stack of leather-bound journals and several USB drives. I picked up the top journal and opened it. My father's handwriting filled the pages, dense scientific notation mixed with personal observations. I flipped to a random page and read, "Day 1, 247. Alyssa turned 7 today. Sarah made her a cake and she was so happy. She has no idea what she is, what she carries in her cells. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing the right thing by keeping her in the dark. But then I watch her laugh, watch her play, watch her just be a normal little girl, and I know I made the right choice. She deserves a childhood. She deserves normalcy for as long as I can give it to her." Marcus called again today. He's getting more insistent. He knows I'm hiding something. I need to be more careful. Tears blurred my vision. I set the journal down and picked up another one, this one from more recent years. The entries were darker, more paranoid. Day 2, 891. They're closing in. I can feel it. I've done everything I can to cover my tracks, but Marcus is too smart. He's figured out that Alyssa is the key. I've reached out to Gabriel. If anyone can keep her safe, it's him. I just hope I have enough time to prepare everything she'll need. God, I don't want to leave her, but I don't see any other way. If I stay, they'll use me to get to her. If I'm dead, at least I can set up dead man switches, leave her resources, give her a fighting chance. Gabriel touched my shoulder gently. "Alyssa, we need to access the main terminal. Your father left instructions. Information we need." I wiped my eyes and moved to the computer setup. There was a note taped to the main monitor. "For Alyssa, use the keycard and your birthday as the password." I swiped the keycard and typed in my birthday. The screens blazed to life, filling with data images and video files. The main screen showed a video player with a file titled "For My Daughter." I clicked play. My father's face appeared, and fresh tears spilled down my cheeks. He looked thinner than I remembered older, with new lines around his eyes. But his expression was gentle-loving, the same way he'd always looked at me. "Hi, sweetie." His voice cracked slightly. "If you're watching this, then I'm gone, and you've found this place with Gabriel's help." "I'm so sorry, Alyssa. Sorry for all the lies, all the secrets. Sorry that I couldn't just be a normal dad who taught you to ride a bike and helped with homework and worried about you dating instead of worrying about genetic black ops programs trying to kidnap you." He smiled sadly. "But I want you to understand something important. You are not an experiment. You are not a weapon. You are my daughter, and you are a miracle. When you were born, I ran some routine genetic tests, just standard stuff that any doctor would do. What I found stopped my heart. You have a unique genetic makeup, a natural mutation that I'd been trying to artificially create in my lab for years. I called it a biomark. It's a signature in your DNA that gives you enhanced capabilities. Faster reflexes, more efficient cellular repair, heightened sensory perception, enhanced strength and endurance. But it's all dormant until your body experiences significant stress or trauma. I made sure you never experienced that stress. I wanted you to be normal, to be happy. But now that I'm gone, now that they're coming for you, those abilities are going to start manifesting. Don't be afraid of them, honey. They're part of you. They're what make you special. Marcus Thorne is the man you need to worry about. He runs Crimson Nexus now, and he wants what you have. He wants to study you. Replicate your biomark, create an army of enhanced soldiers. I've left you everything you need to fight him. Evidence of his crimes, his connections, the locations of his facilities. There are 2 protocols in this system. The first is the acquisition protocol. If you activate it, you'll send a message to Crimson Nexus offering to cooperate in exchange for clearing your name. Don't do it, Alyssa. It's a trap. They'll never let you go. The second protocol is the Revelation Protocol. It will release everything I've gathered on Marcus Thorne and Crimson Nexus to every major news outlet, law enforcement agency, and government watchdog in the world. It will destroy them, but it will also put an enormous target on your back. The choice is yours, sweetheart. But whatever you choose, know that I love you. I've always loved you. You are my greatest achievement, my proudest moment. Not because of your DNA, but because of who you are as a person. You're kind, you're smart, you're brave even when you don't feel brave. Trust Gabriel, trust yourself, and never, never let them make you feel like less than the amazing woman you are. Goodbye, my darling girl. Make me proud. The video ended. I sat staring at the blank screen, my father's words echoing in my mind. Gabriel stood behind me, silent, giving me time to process. I turned to look at him. You watched this already, didn't you, before you came to get me? Gabriel nodded. Your father sent me a copy years ago with instructions not to share it until the time was right. I've been preparing for this day since he died, Alyssa. Setting up safe houses, gathering resources, staying close to you without being obvious. I know this is overwhelming. I know you don't feel ready for this, but ready or not, we're in it now. I stood up and began exploring the rest of the terminal. There were files and files of data, scientific reports about Project Gaia and its experiments, financial records showing money flowing through shell companies to Crimson Nexus, photographs of Marcus Thorne meeting with military officials, politicians, people in power, video footage of experiments that made my stomach turn. My father had compiled a devastating dossier on the entire operation. This is insane, I breathed. If even half of this is true, Marcus Thorne should be in prison for the rest of his life. He should be, Gabriel agreed. But he's protected by people in very high places, people who benefit from the work Crimson Nexus does. Your father tried going through official channels. He was shut down every time. That's when he realized the only way to stop them was to blow the whole thing wide open, make it too public to cover up. The Revelation Protocol. Yes, if you activate it, every journalist, every law enforcement agency, every politician with a conscience will have access to this information. It'll create a firestorm that even Marcus Thorne can't control. But it'll also tell everyone in the world about me, about what I am. Gabriel's expression was grim. Yes. You'll never be anonymous again. You'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, wondering who knows your secret, who wants to exploit it. It's a hell of a price to pay. And if I don't activate it, then we run. We keep running, keep hiding until eventually they catch us. Because they will catch us, Alyssa. They have too many resources, too much power. We might last a few months, maybe a year, if we're very lucky and very careful. But eventually, our luck will run out. I turned back to the screens, staring at the two protocol options. Acquisition or revelation. Slavery or freedom. Safety or danger. It should have been an easy choice, but my hands were shaking as I reached toward the keyboard. Everything my father had fought for, everything he'd sacrificed had been leading to this moment. He'd believed I would make the right choice. He'd believed I was strong enough to handle the consequences. Gabriel's phone suddenly beeped. He pulled it out and his face went pale. Alyssa, we have company. The bunker's perimeter sensors are picking up multiple vehicles approaching. Military-grade equipment. They're less than 5 minutes out. How did they find us? He cursed under his breath. I don't know. Maybe they had a tracker on your father's keycard. Maybe they've been monitoring this location for years, waiting for someone to access it. Does it matter? We need to move. Not yet. I turned back to the terminal, my decision crystallizing. My father had spent years building this case, gathering this evidence. He'd died for it. I wasn't going to let that sacrifice be for nothing. I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life running in fear. The Revelation Protocol interface was surprisingly simple. Just a confirmation screen with a big red button labeled Execute. Once activated, it would take approximately 60 seconds to transmit all the data to the secure servers my father had set up around the world. 60 seconds to change everything. Alyssa, we need to go now. Gabriel grabbed my arm, trying to pull me away from the terminal. They'll kill us if we're still here when they arrive. Then we better move fast. I pulled free from his grip and hovered my finger over the button. This is for you, Dad. I pressed it hard. Immediately, alarms began blaring through the bunker. Red lights started flashing. The screens lit up with progress bars showing data transmission. 90%. 95%. The sound of vehicles pulling up outside filtered down through the metal ceiling. Doors slamming. Shouted orders. Heavy footsteps on the concrete above. 100%. A synthesized voice announced Revelation Protocol activated. Data transmission complete. All evidence packages delivered. A speaker crackled to life and a voice I didn't recognize filled the bunker. Smooth, cultured, and absolutely devoid of warmth. Alyssa Vance. How disappointing. Your father was a fool, and it appears you've inherited his stubborn stupidity. Did you really think pressing that button would save you? All you've done is seal your fate and the fate of everyone you care about. Your home is rubble. Your workplace is destroyed. Your sister Sophie is being located as we speak. You've just made this very personal, Miss Vance. And when we catch you, and we will catch you, I'm going to take great pleasure in studying every cell in your body while you're still alive to feel it. My name is Marcus Thorne, and you have no idea the kind of enemy you've just made. The transmission cut off, replaced by the sound of something heavy hitting the bunker door above. They were trying to break in. Gabriel was already moving, pulling guns from hidden compartments around the room. He tossed one to me, and I caught it on pure instinct, surprised by how natural it felt in my hand. The back wall of the bunker, he said quickly. Your father built an emergency escape tunnel. We can get out, but we need to move now. He pushed aside a shelf unit to reveal a narrow tunnel disappearing into darkness. Single file. Stay close to me. And Alyssa. If shooting starts, aim for center mass and don't hesitate. These people won't. The bunker door above us gave way with a tremendous crash. I could hear boots on the metal stairs, multiple sets descending fast. Gabriel pushed me toward the tunnel, and I ran, my heart hammering the gun heavy in my sweaty palm. Behind us, I heard shouting as the tactical team entered the main room. They're in the tunnel, go, go, go! The tunnel was claustrophobic, barely wide enough for one person. The wall's rough concrete scraping my shoulders as I pushed forward in the dim light from Gabriel's flashlight. My breath came in ragged gasps. I wasn't built for this. I was built for spreadsheets and coffee breaks and casual Fridays, not running through underground tunnels while armed mercenaries hunted me like an animal. Something my father had said in his video came back to me. Enhanced capabilities. Faster reflexes. They're dormant until your body experiences significant stress or trauma. Well, if being hunted by paramilitary forces through a pitch-black tunnel wasn't significant stress, I didn't know what was. The tunnel opened into a small cave system. Gabriel pulled me into a wider chamber and gestured for silence. We crouched behind a rock formation as flashlight beams swept the tunnel entrance behind us. I could hear them coming, at least 4 or 5 men, from the sound of it moving tactically professionally. These weren't rent-a-cops, these were trained killers. Gabriel leaned close and whispered directly in my ear. There's a vehicle hidden about half a mile north of here. We need to make it to that vehicle. Stay low, stay quiet, and follow my lead exactly. Understand? I nodded. The flashlight beams were getting closer. Gabriel squeezed my hand once, then moved, leading me deeper into the cave system. We navigated by feel and by the faint light filtering down from cracks in the earth above. Behind us, I could hear the tactical team spreading out, searching methodically. We were almost to what Gabriel said was the exit when someone stepped out directly in front of us. A man in black tactical gear assault rifle raised. He opened his mouth to shout a warning, but Gabriel was faster. In a blur of motion that I barely registered, Gabriel disarmed him and put him in a chokehold. The man struggled for a few seconds, then went limp. Gabriel lowered him to the ground silently and grabbed the rifle. He looked at me, and in the dim light, I could see something fierce in his expression. Your father made me promise I'd keep you safe. I intend to keep that promise. We moved faster now, knowing our window was closing. The exit was a narrow crack in the cave wall that opened onto a wooded hillside. The early afternoon sun was blindingly bright after the darkness of the caves. Gabriel pulled me into the cover of the trees just as shouts erupted behind us. They'd found their unconscious colleague. Run, Gabriel commanded, and I ran. I'd never been much of an athlete. In school, I was always picked last for sports teams. My idea of exercise was walking to the coffee shop instead of driving. But as I ran through that forest, something strange happened. My legs didn't get tired. My lungs didn't burn. I felt like I could run forever, like my body had suddenly remembered how it was supposed to work. Trees blurred past. Branches that should have hit me somehow didn't. I could hear everything. The men behind us, their shouted coordinates. Birds taking flight. A stream somewhere to our left. This way, Gabriel veered right, and I followed without question, my body responding instantly. We burst into a small clearing where an old pickup truck sat under a camouflage tarp. Gabriel ripped the tarp off, jumped in the driver's seat, and had it started before I even had my door closed. Gunfire erupted. Bullets punched through the truck's back window as Gabriel floored at the truck, fishtailing on the rough forest floor before finding purchase. More shots. One of the side mirrors exploded. I ducked instinctively, but Gabriel kept driving, weaving between trees at speeds that should have gotten us killed. We hit a dirt road, and Gabriel pushed the truck even faster. Behind us, I could see black SUVs emerging from the forest in pursuit. Gabriel reached under his seat and pulled out a phone, tossing it to me. "Call the number programmed as S. Tell her what happened." "S. Sophie, my sister." I dialed with shaking fingers. She answered on the first ring. "Who is this?" "Sophie, it's me. It's Alyssa." There was a pause. Then her voice came back sharp and scared. "Alyssa. Oh my God, what the hell is going on? I've been seeing news reports. They're saying you're a terrorist, that you killed people. Where are you? What's happening?" "Sophie, listen to me. I'm being framed. Everything you're seeing on the news is a lie. I need your help." "My help, Alyssa. I'm a freelance programmer in Berlin. What the hell can I do?" "You're a hacker, Sophie. I know you are. I've known for years. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to embarrass you, but right now, I need those skills. I need you to dig into a company called Crimson Nexus and a man named Marcus Thorne. I just released a massive data dump that should be hitting news servers and law enforcement agencies worldwide. I need you to verify it's getting through, that it's being received." Sophie was quiet for a moment. "Then what kind of data dump?" "Evidence of illegal human experimentation, black-budget military programs, corruption at the highest levels. Dad wasn't an accountant, Sophie. He was a scientist, and he died trying to protect us from these people." "Dad," Sophie's voice broke. "Alyssa, what are you talking about?" "I can't explain everything right now. Just please trust me. Can you access this data?" I heard typing on her end. "Give me a few minutes. What's the source tag?" "Project Gaia Revelation. Password is our mother's maiden name plus my birthday." More typing, then a long silence. "Alyssa." "I'm seeing the files." "Oh my God. Oh my God, this is insane. There are files here about Dad, about his work, about—" She trailed off. "About you. Alyssa, what are you—" "I don't know exactly, but people are trying to kill me for it. Can you verify the data is being distributed?" Sophie's voice hardened, taking on a tone I'd never heard from her before. "Yes, I can do that. And Alyssa, I can do more than that. I can make sure this goes viral, make sure it can't be contained or covered up. Give me a few hours." Behind us, the SUVs were gaining ground. Gabriel was pushing the old truck as hard as it would go, but it was no match for their vehicles. "We need to ditch this truck," Gabriel said grimly. "They're going to catch us if we stay on the road." "Sophie, I have to go. I'll call you back when I can. And Sophie, I love you. Stay safe." "I love you too, sis. I'll handle my end. You just stay alive." I hung up as Gabriel suddenly yanked the wheel hard left, sending us careening off the road and into an even denser section of forest. The truck bucked and bounced over rough terrain. Behind us, the SUVs followed, but they were having more trouble navigating the obstacles. "There." Gabriel pointed at what looked like an abandoned barn up ahead. He aimed the truck straight for it, crashing through the rotting doors and slamming on the brakes inside. How. We abandoned the truck, and Gabriel led me to a back corner of the barn where he pulled up a loose floorboard. "A root cellar," he explained. "Get in and stay quiet." "What about you?" "I'm going to lead them away." "Your father gave me one job, Alyssa. Keep you alive. That's what I'm doing." "Gabriel." He pushed a backpack into my arms. "Food, water, money, a clean phone. If I'm not back in 2 hours, head east. There's a safe house about 10 miles from here. The address is on a card in the bag. Tell them Gabriel sent you." "You can't just—" The sound of vehicles pulling up outside cut me off. Gabriel kissed my forehead quickly, grabbed the rifle he'd taken earlier, and moved to the barn's entrance. I dropped into the root cellar and pulled the floorboard over my head just as the barn doors crashed open. Through the cracks in the wood above me, I could see tactical team members flooding in, weapons raised. Gabriel was nowhere in sight. "Check the truck. Sweep the perimeter. Find them." Footsteps pounded overhead. I held my breath, certain they would hear my heart hammering. Someone walked directly over my hiding spot, and I squeezed my eyes shut, praying. After what felt like an eternity, I heard someone shout from outside. Tracks heading north. He's trying to lead us away. All units pursue, leave 2 men to secure the barn. Most of the footsteps departed, leaving just 2 sets pacing above me. I stayed frozen in place, barely daring to breathe. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, a voice crackled over a radio. All units report. Do you have them? Negative. Lost the trail in the heavy brush. No sign of the girl. Damn it. Director Thorne is not going to be happy. Stay on it. She can't have gotten far. The 2 guards above me settled in to wait. I realized I might be stuck here for a long time. I carefully opened the backpack Gabriel had given me, trying not to make any noise. Inside, I found energy bars, water bottles, a prepaid phone, several $1,000s in cash, and a small notebook. I opened the notebook and found detailed instructions in Gabriel's handwriting. Safe house locations, contact numbers, emergency protocols. The last page had a note written specifically for me. Alyssa, if you're reading this alone, then something went wrong on my end. Don't waste time grieving. Your father and I both knew the risks. What matters now is that you survive and that the truth gets out. Trust Sophie. Trust yourself. The abilities your father talked about are real. I've seen hints of them when you weren't aware. Your reflexes, your perception, they're already manifesting under stress. Don't fight them. They're part of you, part of what makes you extraordinary. Marcus Thorne wants you to feel helpless, wants you to believe you're just a victim. Prove him wrong. You're not prey, Alyssa. You're a survivor. Make him regret ever coming after you. Gabriel, I sat in the darkness of that root cellar for 3 hours, the longest 3 hours of my life. Above me, the guards changed shifts once. They talked about mundane things, a football game, someone's divorce, as if they weren't waiting to capture and possibly kill an innocent woman, as if this was just another day at the office for them. When the sun started to set and the barn grew darker, I heard vehicles arriving again. More people. Someone important, judging by the way the guard snapped to attention. Status report, a voice commanded. Smooth, cultured, the same voice from the bunker. Marcus Thorne had come personally. No sign of the target, sir. The man Gabriel led the pursuit team on a wild chase, but we lost him about 3 miles north. We believe he's circling back to retrieve her. And you're certain she's in the area? She has to be, sir. No way she could have gotten far on foot. Then we wait. Marcus Thorne's voice was patient, confident. Post men on all roads out of here. Set up thermal imaging. She'll have to move eventually, and when she does, we'll have her. My blood ran cold. Thermal imaging. My hiding spot wouldn't protect me from that. I had maybe an hour, maybe less, before they detected me. I needed to move, needed to run, but there were at least a dozen armed men in and around this barn. The sun was setting, darkness would help, but it wouldn't be enough. I closed my eyes and tried to think. What would my father do? What would Gabriel do? Running blindly would get me killed. I needed an edge, needed something they wouldn't expect. My father's words came back to me. Enhanced capabilities, faster reflexes, heightened sensory perception. Don't fight them. They're part of you. I took a deep breath, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I stopped fighting. The terror stopped trying to convince myself this wasn't happening, stopped wishing I was just a normal person living a normal life. Instead, I embraced it. I was Alyssa Vance, carrier of a unique genetic signature, daughter of a genius scientist who'd died to protect me, and I was done being afraid. I don't know how to explain what happened next. It was like something inside me clicked into place, like a part of my brain that had been dormant suddenly woke up. I could hear everything. Not just the conversations above me, but the heartbeats, the breathing, the slight scrape of fabric as people shifted their weight. I could smell the gun oil, the sweat, the distinct odor of the tactical gear. And somehow I could track it all, could build a mental map of exactly where everyone was positioned. There were 3 men in the barn. Marcus Thorne was outside with the main force. 5 vehicles total approximately 20 men. 2 guards posted on the north and south approaches. The thermal imaging equipment hadn't been set up yet. They were still unloading it from one of the vehicles. I had a window, a very small window. I waited until I heard Marcus Thorne giving orders to move the equipment to the east side of the barn. That would put most of the team on the opposite side from where I needed to go. I counted to 30, letting them get into position, then I moved. The floorboard lifted silently. I rose from the root cellar like a ghost, my body moving with a certainty I'd never felt before. The 3 guards in the barn were all facing away from me, watching the doors. I could have walked right past them and they wouldn't have noticed, but I didn't want to risk it. Instead, I moved along the wall, staying in the deepest shadows, my footsteps completely silent. I made it to a window on the west side and carefully peered out. Clear. I eased the window open inch by careful inch, then slipped through and dropped to the ground outside. Still no alarm. I was in a narrow gap between the barn and the tree line, maybe 10 feet of open ground. I could hear people on the other sides of the building, but no one was covering this approach. They'd assumed I couldn't get out without them seeing me. I ran for the trees, low and fast. I was halfway across the gap when someone shouted, "Contact west side." Gunfire erupted, but I was already in the trees. Bullets chewed up bark inches from where I'd been. I ran harder, faster than I'd ever run in my life, my body responding to my commands with a fluidity that felt supernatural. Behind me, chaos. Shouting, more gunfire engines starting. They were coming after me, the full force of Crimson Nexus mobilizing to catch one woman running through a darkening forest. But I had advantages they didn't. I could see in the failing light as if it were day. I could hear them coming from hundreds of yards away. I could feel the forest around me, could sense the paths that would give me the most cover, the routes that would slow down vehicles. My body knew what to do, even when my mind didn't. I ran for miles, weaving through the forest, crossing streams, doubling back when I heard pursuit getting too close. Hours passed. The full moon rose, turning the forest into a silvered landscape. My lungs should have been burning. My legs should have been cramping. But I felt like I could run forever, like this body I'd lived in for 33 years had finally revealed what it was truly capable of. When I finally stopped, I was deep in the woods with no sign of pursuit. I found a fallen log to sit on and pulled out the phone Gabriel had given me. I had 1 bar of signal. I called Sophie. She answered immediately. "Alyssa." "Thank God. Where are you? Are you okay?" "I'm safe for now. How are things on your end?" Sophie's voice was tight with excitement and fear. "Alyssa, the data dump is everywhere. Every major news outlet has it. CNN, BBC, Reuters, everyone. They're running stories about Crimson Nexus, about illegal human experimentation, about Marcus Thorne's connections to high-level officials. The FBI has announced an investigation. Interpol is involved. It's a massive scandal. You did it. You exposed them." "What about me? Am I still wanted for the attack on my workplace?" Sophie hesitated. "That's complicated. The police are saying the investigation is ongoing, but several news outlets are reporting that evidence suggests you were framed. There's security footage that's been analyzed by independent experts showing the timeline doesn't match what was originally reported. You're not cleared yet, but people are starting to ask questions." "Marcus Thorne." Sophie's voice darkened. "That bastard is everywhere, denying everything. He's holding press conferences claiming the data is fabricated, that he's the victim of a smear campaign. His lawyers are working overtime. But Alyssa, I've been digging deeper. I found something Dad left for me. A separate data package that was triggered when you activated the Revelation protocol. It's everything about you. Your genetic data, the research Dad did, everything. He wanted me to have it, wanted me to understand what you are." "Sophie, no, listen. I'm not scared of you or freaked out or anything like that. You're still my sister, but I understand now why Dad did what he did, why he kept this secret. What you have in your DNA, Alyssa, it's incredible, it's revolutionary, and it's terrifying to think what people like Marcus Thorne could do with it." "I can feel it," I said quietly. "My abilities, I mean. They're manifesting. I just outran an entire tactical team through miles of forest. I can hear things I shouldn't be able to hear. See in the dark. My body moves like it's been trained for combat when I've never thrown a punch in my life. Dad's research predicted that. The more stress you're under, the more your body adapts. It's not magic, Alyssa. It's advanced evolution. Your cells are more efficient. Your nervous system processes information faster. Your muscles have denser fiber composition. You're not superhuman. You're just operating at the theoretical maximum of what human biology can achieve. I should be terrified." "Are you?" I thought about it. "No, I'm angry. I'm so angry at Marcus Thorne at Project Gaia, at everyone who thought they could use me, control me, turn me into a weapon. And I'm sad about Dad about Gabriel. But I'm not scared. Not anymore. Good, Sophie said fiercely. Because I've been working on something. There are others, Alyssa. Other people who were part of Project Gaia, other test subjects, other families torn apart by these programs. I found a network of them. They've been in hiding for years, scattered across the world, too afraid to come forward. But with the data you released with the investigation starting, some of them are willing to talk. We can build a case, a real case that even Marcus Thorne's lawyers can't make disappear. You said we. I'm in this now, sis. They came after my family. They killed our father. They tried to destroy you. I'm not letting that stand. I'm coming back to the States. We're going to finish what Dad started. Sophie, it's dangerous. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You're my sister Alyssa. Where else would I be? Tears pricked my eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We have a lot of work ahead of us. The safe house Gabriel mentioned, the one 10 miles east. I have the location. Get there. I'm sending someone to meet you, someone Dad trusted. Her name is Dr. Elena Martinez. She worked with Dad on Project Gaia, but got out when she realized what they were really doing. She can help you understand your abilities, help you control them. I'll head there now. Alyssa, be careful. Marcus Thorne is wounded, but he's not finished. He's going to come at you with everything he has. This is far from over. I know, but I'm not the same person who woke up terrified 3 days ago. I'm not running anymore. I'm fighting back. That's what I wanted to hear. Stay alive, sis. We've got work to do. I ended the call and stood up, orienting myself east. 10 miles. In my old life, that would have been an impossible trek through dark woods. But I wasn't that person anymore. I started walking, my enhanced senses guiding me, and I thought about my father, about everything he'd sacrificed to give me this chance. He'd called me a miracle. He'd believed I was strong enough to survive, to fight to win. I wasn't going to let him down. The safe house was a small cabin tucked into a clearing, invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. I approached cautiously, every sense alert for traps or watchers, but it appeared clean. I used the code Gabriel had written down, and the door clicked open. Inside, I found basic supplies, more weapons, and a woman in her late 50s with steel gray hair and sharp eyes. She stood up when I entered, a small smile crossing her face. Alyssa Vance, you look like your father. I'm Dr. Elena Martinez. We shook hands. Sophie said you worked with my dad for 5 years until I couldn't stomach what they were doing anymore. Your father helped me disappear, gave me a new identity, made sure I was safe. When he died, I knew someday you'd need help. I've been preparing ever since. I appreciate it, but I don't know if I can stay here long. Marcus Thorne is finished, Dr. Martinez interrupted. He doesn't know it yet, but he is. The investigation is moving faster than anyone expected. They found bodies at one of his facilities, evidence of experiments that violated every international treaty on human rights. Multiple countries are demanding his extradition. His political protection is evaporating. She paused, but he's going to make one last play. Men like Marcus Thorne don't go down quietly. You think he'll come after me directly? I know he will. He's obsessed with you, with what you represent. He's spent 20 years trying to artificially create what you are naturally. He's not going to let you walk away, consequences be damned. Then let him come. I said it with more confidence than I felt, but Dr. Martinez smiled. Your father would be proud of you. Now, let me see what we're working with. I need to run some tests, see how much of your biomark potential has activated. If we're going to face Marcus Thorne, we need you at full capacity. Over the next 3 days, Dr. Martinez put me through a battery of tests. Physical challenges, reaction time, measurements, sensory discrimination tasks. What she found astounded both of us. My reflexes were operating at nearly 3 times normal human speed. My strength had increased by roughly 40%. My sensory perception was off the charts. I could hear conversations from a quarter mile away, see details in near total darkness, and my sense of smell was approaching canine levels. But it wasn't just physical, Dr. Martinez explained. Your cognitive processing is enhanced too. You're taking in information, analyzing it, and responding faster than should be possible. It's like your brain is running on a more efficient operating system. Your father theorized this would happen under sustained stress. Your body is adapting to the threat you're facing. Will it last? When this is over, will I go back to normal? Honestly, I don't know. Your father's research suggested the changes might be permanent once activated. You might be able to dial them back somewhat in the absence of stress, but I don't think you'll ever be the person you were before. This is who you are now, Alyssa. I should have been terrified by that. Instead, I felt a strange sense of relief. I'd spent my whole life feeling like I didn't quite fit, like there was something different about me that I couldn't name. Now I knew why. This had always been part of me just waiting to emerge. On the fourth day, Sophie arrived with 2 other people. A man named James, who'd been a test subject in Project Gaia and had escaped, and a woman named Lisa, who'd lost her brother to the program. Together, we began planning. The news cycle was still dominated by the Crimson Nexus scandal. Marcus Thorne had been forced to step down as director, though he maintained his innocence. Multiple facilities had been raided by FBI. Arrests had been made. But Thorne himself remained free, his lawyers arguing that he had been unaware of the illegal activities being conducted under his watch. He's going to run. James predicted, I know his type. He'll have offshore accounts, fake identities, exit strategies. We're running out of time to stop him. Sophie pulled up a laptop. I've been monitoring his communications. He's not running. He's planning something. There's been a lot of encrypted traffic between him and unknown parties. Something's going down and soon. What about Detective Miller, I asked. He's been investigating my case. Maybe we can reach out to him, give him evidence directly. Sophie shook her head. Miller's a dead end. He's part of the old guard too by the book. He'd arrest you first and ask questions later, legal mess or not. We need to handle this ourselves. Then we need to draw Thorne out, I said. Make him come to us on our terms. How Lisa asked. He's surrounded by security lawyers and probably still has access to mercenaries from Crimson Nexus. We use the one thing he wants more than anything, I said slowly. Me. We let him know where I am. We make it look like I'm vulnerable, isolated. He'll come. He won't be able to resist. Dr. Martinez looked troubled. That's an enormous risk. I know, but it's the only way. As long as Marcus Thorne is free, I'll never be safe. None of us will be. We end this now, or we spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. They argued for hours, but ultimately, everyone agreed. We needed to finish this. We chose an abandoned industrial complex on the outskirts of the city. Lots of open spaces, multiple entry points easy to monitor. Sophie planted digital breadcrumbs that would lead Thorne's people to believe I was hiding there. Then we waited. 2 days later, in the early hours of the morning, they came. Thermal imaging showed at least 30 men moving into position around the complex. And there, in the center of the formation, was Marcus Thorne himself. He'd taken the bait. I stood in the center of the main warehouse floor, completely exposed, every light in the place focused on me. My team was hidden in the rafters and side rooms, cameras and recording equipment ready. This would either work or get us all killed. The main door burst open and Marcus Thorne walked in, flanked by armed guards. He was tall, distinguished-looking, with silver hair and cold blue eyes. He smiled when he saw me. Alyssa Vance, finally. Do you have any idea how long I've waited for this moment? Not long enough, I replied. My voice was steady despite the fear coursing through me. Your reign of terror is over, Thorne. You've lost. He laughed. Lost. My dear girl, I've spent 20 years building an empire. You've cost me some assets, certainly. Created some annoying legal difficulties, but I'm far from finished. And once I have you, once I have your genetic material, I can rebuild everything. Better than before. You're insane if you think I'm going to cooperate with you. Oh, you will. Thorne's smile widened. You see, we've been monitoring your communications. We know about your sister in Berlin. We know about Dr. Martinez. We know about your little support group. You help me willingly, or I kill everyone you care about. One by one. Starting with Sophie. You're bluffing. Am I? He pulled out a phone and showed me the screen. It was a live video feed of an apartment in Berlin. My heart stopped. That was Sophie's building. She's not there, I said, praying it was true. We moved her days ago. Did you? Thorne's expression didn't change. Perhaps. Or perhaps you're bluffing and I'm about to give the order to breach that apartment. Shall we find out? Before I could respond, the lights went out. Sophie's doing. In the darkness, my enhanced vision gave me a massive advantage. I could see Thorne and his men perfectly while they were blind. I moved faster than they could track, faster than they could comprehend. I'd spent the last week training with Dr. Martinez, learning to use my abilities effectively. Now I put that training to use. I disarmed the nearest guard in a blur of motion using his own weapon to take out 2 more. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, but they were shooting blind, hitting each other more than me. Thorne was shouting orders, but his men were panicking. They'd expected to trap a helpless woman. Instead, they were being picked apart in the dark by something they couldn't see, couldn't fight. James and Lisa emerged from hiding, adding to the confusion. They weren't enhanced like me, but they were armed and motivated. Dr. Martinez triggered smoke canisters that she'd planted earlier, filling the warehouse with dense fog that further obscured visibility. When the lights came back on, Thorne's force had been decimated. Half his men were down disarmed or fleeing. Thorne himself was backing toward the door, his confidence shattered, his face pale with shock. "What are you?" he whispered. I walked toward him slowly, deliberately. "My father didn't create me. I'm not a weapon he designed. I'm what you were trying to artificially make for 20 years, except I'm real and I'm natural and I'm everything you feared. I'm proof that you didn't need to experiment on people, didn't need to destroy families, didn't need to play God. Nature did it better than you ever could." Thorne pulled a gun, but I was on him before he could aim it, twisting it from his grip and forcing him to his knees. Sirens wailed outside, flashing lights. Sophie had timed it perfectly, alerting law enforcement at exactly the right moment. Detective Miller would arrive to find Marcus Thorne caught in the act of kidnapping and assault. Miller burst through the door with a full tactical team weapons drawn. When he saw the scene, when he saw Thorne on his knees with his men scattered around the warehouse, his expression transformed from confusion to grim satisfaction. "Marcus Thorne, you're under arrest." He started reading rights as his team moved in to secure everyone. His eyes met mine across the warehouse. "Miss Vance, are you all right?" "I'm fine, Detective." I nodded toward Thorne. "I believe you'll find everything you need to close your investigation. The man who actually orchestrated the attack on my workplace, who framed me, who's been running illegal human experimentation programs. All the evidence is here, and more has been uploaded to secure servers. You'll have access to everything." Miller looked at me for a long moment. There was something like respect in his expression. "Your father was a good man, Miss Vance. I knew him briefly years ago. He tried to tell me about Project Gaia back then. I didn't believe him. I wish I had." "You couldn't have known." "No, but I know now. Thorne's lawyers called me earlier trying to threaten me into dropping the investigation. That was their mistake. I don't respond well to threats." He turned to his team. "Get him in the van. Full security protocol. This man's not slipping away." As they hauled Thorne to his feet, he looked back at me. "This isn't over. I have resources you can't imagine. I'll be out in—" "Save it," Detective Miller interrupted. "With the evidence Miss Vance has provided, you're looking at so many charges in so many jurisdictions that you won't see daylight for the rest of your natural life. If you're lucky, they won't bring back the death penalty just for you." They dragged him out and the warehouse fell quiet, except for the murmur of officers securing the scene. Sophie emerged from her hiding spot and ran to me, throwing her arms around me. "You did it. You actually did it. We did it." I corrected, hugging her back. "All of us. Dad gave us the tools you provided, the tech support. The team provided the backup. It was a group effort." Dr. Martinez approached, a satisfied smile on her face. "Your father would be incredibly proud, Alyssa." "I hope so," I said quietly. Over the next weeks, the full scope of Marcus Thorne's crimes became public. More victims came forward. More facilities were discovered. The investigation expanded to include multiple government officials who'd enabled Project Gaia and Crimson Nexus. It became one of the biggest scandals in decades. As for me, I was cleared of all charges. Detective Miller personally held a press conference explaining that I had been framed, that I'd risked my life to expose corruption and save countless future victims. I became something of a reluctant hero in the media, though I tried to avoid the spotlight as much as possible. Gabriel's body was never found. I choose to believe he survived somehow, that he's out there somewhere living under a new identity. He saved my life more times than I can count. I owe him everything. Sophie moved back to the States. We got an apartment together trying to rebuild some semblance of normal life, but normal was relative now. I'd changed too much, knew too much, had abilities that set me apart. Dr. Martinez helped me learn to control my enhanced capabilities, to dial them up or down as needed. I'd never be completely normal again, but I could pass as normal when necessary. I left Henning and Cole Investments, obviously. Instead, I started working with a foundation dedicated to victims of illegal human experimentation. Using my father's research and my own experiences, we helped people who'd been harmed by programs like Project Gaia. We fought for justice, for compensation, for recognition. It wasn't the career I'd planned, but it was the career I needed. Sometimes late at night, I pull out my father's letter and read it again. His words comfort me, remind me of why we fought, why we won. He'd spent his life trying to protect me from the very thing that made me special. In the end, accepting what I was embracing my biomark was what saved me. Marcus Thorne is serving multiple life sentences in a maximum security facility. His empire is destroyed. Project Gaia has been officially shut down and declassified. The victims are getting justice, but I know there are other programs out there, other Marcus Thornes who think they can play God with human lives. That's why I can't stop. Why I won't stop. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not prey. I'm not a weapon to be controlled. I'm Alyssa Vance, and I'm exactly who I was meant to be. Strong, capable, and fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. My father once wrote that I was a miracle of nature. I finally understand what he meant. Not because of my abilities, not because of my DNA, but because I survived. Because I refused to let evil people define me. Because I turned my father's sacrifice into something meaningful. So here's my question for you. How many times have you let fear control you? How many times have you accepted someone else's definition of who you should be? Life gave me an extraordinary gift and tried to make it a curse. But I chose differently. I chose to own it, to use it to become something more than what others expected. What will you choose? If this story moved you, if it made you think, hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about people who fought back, who refused to be victims, who transformed trauma into triumph. And drop a comment. Tell me about a time you stood up for yourself. Tell me about a moment when you discovered you were stronger than you thought. Let's build a community of people who refuse to be broken. Because at the end of the day, that's what this story is really about. Not about genetic enhancement or covert programs or revenge. It's about discovering that you have power you never knew existed. It's about using that power not to hurt others, but to protect yourself and the people you love. It's about refusing to let anyone make you feel less than you are. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And remember, you're stronger than you know. Sometimes it just takes the right circumstances to reveal it.